to the original question, how is this different from what we did in day 1 and 2, which is Monday and Tuesday? Yeah, that's the big difference, is now you have to rank both decimals and fractions together. Let's write that down. So before we try to put this in any type of order or try to figure out what do you need to do to at least one of these numbers? What should you do? Ryan, is that a hand up?
I don't know. I'm confused now.
You have 3/10 and you have 0.25. I would venture to guess that many of you have already figured out which is larger in your head. But my question to you is well, how did you do it? What should you do? I'll go back to Smiley again.
When you take the fraction and make it into a decimal.
Yeah, that's what you've got to do. It's not the only way to do it, because you can also change the decimal into a fraction and compare that way. But the easier way in this example is to take your fraction, especially considering, guys, 3/10 is fraction families from way back when. You should be able to do 3/10 in your head. If not, you may have to look back at those notes. Well, what is 3/10 as a decimal? Antonio. Okay, and what I like to do, and I want you guys to kind of do the same thing, is put it over the fraction so you can now see it in that sentence, 0.30. And I add the 0 in there because you're going to need it anyway. It's an annex 0. So our place value goes out to hundredths. And then I'm just going to formalize it in this little bullet point. We changed 3/10 into 0.30. And then you're right back to what you did the last couple of days. It's even easier because you don't have to venture out to a lot of place values. You're looking at your tenths, what's larger? And they're both positive. What's our larger number? 0.25 or 0.3? So you make your little inequality symbol going that way. Okay? Again, I started you off simple with this. It's going to get more advanced, but that's the basic procedure of how to do these. Let's look at example 2. 3 fractions. Okay? 2 of them which were in your fraction family, 1 which wasn't. There's 2 ways you can do it. If I want to leave them fractions, I can leave them fractions. I just need to come up with a common denominator for all 3. So if I look at 2/5 and 1/2 and 9/20, so I'll ask this question because we had it a couple weeks ago. What's the smallest number that 5 can go into, 2 can go into, and 20 can go into? Which is really our LCM.
2.
20 can't go into 2, nor can 5. Give me a number that 5 can go into, 2 can go into, and 20 can go into. It's got to be at least 20, because 20 can't go into 4. You can't have a larger number going into a smaller number. Well, you can, but it doesn't go in evenly. And it would work, but there's a smaller number. Yeah, 20. 20. You want the smallest number that all 3 can go into. Okay, that's what LCM is. Listen, look at me. 20. Can 20 go into 20?
Yes.
Can 2 go into 20?
Yes.
How many times?
2, 4, 10.
2 times what makes 20? 2 times what makes 20?
Oh.
1, 0, 10.
It's like when you turn it, like you're trying to find a place while you're driving, you got to turn the radio down. Let's turn the radio down. Just got to think. Times 10, okay? And then can 5 go into 20? How many times? Okay, so that's what we got. So what we've done is we now have a common denominator of 20, all right? You're making equivalent fractions, equivalent ratios. We've been doing this. You've been doing this every week in your cumulative reviews. What's my missing number?
8.
Very good. 2 times what makes 20? We kind of just said it. Alex. Therefore, my numerator is what, Alex? And 9/20 stays 9/20 because times 1 times 1. Okay? The rule is, if you have all 3 denominators the same, then the highest numerator is your highest or your greatest fraction. Therefore, who drank the most water? Stephen.
Rachel.
Who drank the least, Stephen?
No, Ira.
Right. Okay? And this is just one way to do it. The other way is just change them to decimals. So let's go to the next page because it's the same exact question. We're just going to show it the other way. If everything works out with decimals, you should still get Rachel as the highest number and Mira as the lowest. All right, let's take a look. Here's where I got to keep my fingers crossed because I'm hoping you remember your fraction families. If not, maybe we'll do a review on it and that'll be our next sprint. We'll do it again next week, at the end of next week, because we could probably use a refresher anyway. 2/5 is what decimal? Kelly. You got it. 0.4. And I'm actually going to carry it out to 0.40. We're going to need it. 1/2. Tom. Which I'm going to carry out to the hundredths as well and make it 0.50. Now, 9/20 is not fraction family. Okay? What we can do, what we have been doing is, if you remember back to your percent unit, if you can make an equivalent fraction over 100, the numerator then becomes your decimal, more or less. What do you got? 45 hundredths, which is 45 hundredths. And what's our greatest decimal? Or who is our greatest decimal? Krista. Obviously Rachel, because it's the same question. And the smallest?
Mira. Right here. Wait, what?
Very good. Okay. All right, so any fraction can be made into a decimal. Some are easier than others. If you get a fraction like 2/7, guys, you got to do denominator into numerator if that's the case. So just to show you it again, probably a good idea to show this to you anyway because a D into N question is on this week's review sheet. Well, let me ask you this. 2/7. Who's outside the house? Who's inside the house? Smiley. Okay, so I'm going to put 2 in, but then do you remember what I have to do? Right. And it just becomes long division. 7 can't go into 2, but it goes into 20. How many times? Get it out. At least 2 times. I'll be out of your way here in a minute. Let's carry it out one more place value. 7 into 60. At least how many times? 7 into 60. Come on. Times table snipers. Your 7 times table. Stevie.
I got it. I got it.
Ryan, help him out.
8.
Yeah, times 8, 56. Okay.
Yep.
Now, if 2/7 was being compared to these other fractions, I wouldn't want to take it any further because I can now see where 0.28 fits in the sequence. However, sometimes you got to carry it out further because these decimals might be longer too. Right now, let me ask you this. Let's make believe that this is Stephen.
Steven. Not Steven.
See, I spelled it right too. Stephen Press he drank 2/7 of a gallon. What is it? It's water, right? 2/7 of a gallon. So where does he rank in this? Would he be the most, the least, or somewhere in the middle? He would be the least. 0.27. You're not a big water drinker, which is okay. Okay? Let's look at example 3. Okay. Back on track, let's take a look at example 3. Read it quietly to yourself and tell me how this is even more different from what we've been doing. What do you notice? Brigitte, what do you got? Yes, we have an improper fraction, right? So what do you have to do first? Okay, Charles. Right, so that's a first step. Change the improper fraction to a mixed number. And then what?
Then make a decimal.
Okay, well, let's do that. What is 24/5 as a mixed number? Remember how many times is that denominator going to the numerator, and then your remainder is your numerator. Okay, Kel.
4 and 4.
Yes, 4 and 4/5. And again, this is another reason why those fraction family facts that hopefully are still in your head come in so handy. What is 4 and 4/5 as a decimal? Aiden.
4.80.
Good job, 4.80.
I knew that.
All right, and at that point, we're only comparing two people. So now, listen to... I can't argue with that. That was very, very theatrical. It was good.
What did you say?
How about now? Can you see now?
Yeah.
How about now? Can you see now? Okay. So who's taller, guys? 4.82, which is Ronnie, or 4.8, which is Angelo?
Oh, we have to read it.
Go ahead. I owe you one, Jack. All right, which is who? Which is who? All right, Ronnie is taller. All right, so everything makes sense?
Yeah.
Think you can handle this?
Yeah.
All right, listen carefully so you know what's what, because I really don't want you to go ahead just yet. Listen up. Listen, everybody. Turn the page. You're going to do all of page, this is page 3, page 4. All of 4, and watch, guys, because I don't want you doing the wrong thing. And then the top of page 5, because this is day 2 for tomorrow, which I've got, this is for tomorrow. If you get done with this, then you can go on to your homework. And I do have the answer keys hanging up if you want to check.
What's homework?
You should have written it down.
Oh, I'm already on that.
And in the beginning, I wasn't in your way.
Whoa.
Gotcha. Can anybody tell them what the homework was? Yeah, but what page? Page 8 only. All right, go to work.
I got it.